She lived through wars. She survived pandemics. She buried friends and family. And yet, at 90 years old, she was still strong, sharp, and smiling. Everyone thought she was invincible. But one evening, over a simple dinner, everything changed. And when she realized what had happened, she said quietly, "I never thought something so small could steal so many years." This is the story of a remarkable woman. And the one food she believed quietly undermined the longevity she had fought so hard to preserve. The quiet strength of a 90-year-old. For most of her life, she wasn't focused on longevity or health optimization. She simply lived. She gardened. She cooked every meal from scratch. She walked instead of driving. She laughed often and worried little. Doctors marveled at her stamina. Her heart was strong. Her mind was quick. Her blood work looked like that of someone 30 years younger. She was living proof that simplicity, consistency, and joy could keep you vibrant well into old age. A simple life, a simple diet. Her meals were humble. Fresh vegetables from her garden, homemade bread, beans and legumes, a little bit of meat, maybe once a week, seasonal fruits, water and herbal teas. No fancy supplements. No miracle superfoods. Just real food, eaten with gratitude. And it worked, for decades. The subtle shift. But sometime in her late 80s, things began to change. Not with a crash, but with a whisper. Her knees felt a little stiffer. Her energy dipped after meals. She found herself feeling more sluggish, more forgetful. Her family thought, well, that's just aging. But she knew her body better than anyone. Something was different. Something was wrong. And it all traced back, shockingly, to one change in her daily meals. One small addition. One food she had never eaten before in her long, healthy life. A food introduced by convenience, by comfort, by the new pace of life around her. A food that seemed harmless, but wasn't. It wasn't processed sugar. It wasn't greasy fast food. It wasn't alcohol. It was something far more subtle, something hidden beneath a halo of health. The food? Store-bought, ultra-processed bread. The bread that broke the camel's back after her husband passed away. She found it harder to keep up the old routines. She didn't bake as much. Her hands were tired. The arthritis in her fingers made kneading dough painful. So, at the urging of her grandchildren, she started buying healthy, whole-grain bread from the supermarket. It seemed harmless. The packaging promised fiber, vitamins, heart health. But hidden behind the beautiful labels were things she had never put into her body before. Preservatives, emulsifiers, refined oils, added sugars, artificial flavors. And while she still ate vegetables and soups, this processed bread became a daily staple. She didn't notice the damage at first. No one does. The slow deterioration over months, small cracks appeared. She gained weight, despite eating the same portions. She felt bloated after meals. Her knees ached worse after walks. She started forgetting small things, where she put her keys, the names of old friends. Her doctor said her blood sugar was creeping up. Her cholesterol had shifted. Her inflammation markers were rising. It didn't make sense, until she looked carefully at what had changed. And there it was. Every day, twice a day, she was feeding her body a food packed with invisible enemies. Enemies her body, for 90 years, had never known how to fight. Why processed foods hit harder in old age? When you're young, your body can absorb mistakes. You bounce back. But with age, your defenses wear thin, gut health weakens. Processed foods disrupt the delicate balance of gut bacteria. Blood sugar regulation falters. Refined carbs spike insulin levels faster. Inflammation increases. Preservatives and additives fuel chronic, low-grade inflammation. Tissue repair slows down. Healing from daily micro-damage takes longer. And processed foods, even the healthy-looking ones, quietly accelerate these problems. The result? Not a crash. Not a heart attack. Just a slow, invisible decline. A theft of energy. A quiet sabotage of vitality. Her realization one evening, after another restless night, she sat at the kitchen table, staring at her half-eaten sandwich. She thought about the meals she used to make. The fresh bread pulled from her own oven. The beans soaked overnight. The herbs clipped straight from her backyard. She thought about how alive she used to feel. And she realized, I traded life for convenience. The next morning, she made a decision. No more shortcuts. No more factory bread. No more invisible poisons disguised as food. Even if it was hard, even if her fingers hurt, she would return, as much as she could, to the way she lived for nearly a century. Because deep down, she knew, the body remembers. It remembers what you feed it. It remembers how you treat it. The small rebellion she started simple. She asked her neighbor to help knead the dough once a week. She bought local vegetables again, refusing packaged salads. She made her own broth instead of buying canned soups. She replaced convenience with care. Slowly, gently, her body responded. Her digestion improved. Her energy lifted. Her memory sharpened. She could never fully undo the damage. But she could stop making it worse. And even more importantly, she felt connected to life again. Because food isn't just fuel. It's a relationship. And for 90 years, she had honored that relationship, until she was tricked by modern convenience. Now, she was taking it back. What this means for all of us: we live in a world drowning in healthy-looking poisons. Low-fat yogurts packed with sugar. Whole wheat breads laced with additives. Organic snacks filled with preservatives. We're told it's food. But the truth is, real food doesn't need marketing. Real food doesn't come with a nutrition label longer than a novel. Real food doesn't sit on a shelf for 6 months without changing. And when we swap real food for processed imitations, we swap energy for exhaustion. Strength for weakness. Longevity for slow decay. The food that stole her years. Looking back, she didn't blame anyone. Not the grocery stores. Not the companies. Not her family. She blamed herself for trusting that something convenient could ever replace something crafted with care. Her advice to others? Eat what you can recognize. Eat what your great-grandmother would call food. Eat what spoils, because it means it's alive. She didn't need a degree in nutrition to understand. She had lived it. And she had paid the price. But now, she was sharing her story, so that others wouldn't have to. Her story spread quietly through her family, and then through her community. Neighbors started asking questions. What's really in the bread we buy? Why do our grandparents seem healthier than us, even with less medicine? What changed? And how do we get it back? It wasn't a revolution. It wasn't a trending diet. It was something more powerful, a return to common sense. A return to care. Because deep down, we already know. We know what real food tastes like. We know how our bodies feel after a home-cooked meal versus a drive-through burger. We just forgot. And her story, her last meal story, was a reminder to remember. The deeper damage processed food doesn't just hurt your body. It hurts your trust. It teaches you to ignore how you feel. It normalizes sluggishness. It disguises early warnings of imbalance. So when you finally notice something is wrong, it's often too late. But if you listen earlier, if you pay attention to the small whispers of your body, you can change the story. You can reclaim years that would have been quietly stolen. Small changes, big results. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to bake everything from scratch. But small shifts matter. Choosing bread with 5 ingredients you can pronounce, instead of 25 you can't. Cooking one more meal at home each week. Buying food from markets, not factories. Reading labels like your life depends on it, because it does. Every choice is a vote for your future self. And your future self is watching. Her final reflection at 90, she wasn't angry. She wasn't bitter. She was wise. She said, "The world got faster. We started eating with our eyes and stopped eating with our hearts. Real food, real health, they require time, attention, and love. But they also give something priceless in return. Energy, joy, independence, memories, years. She may have lost some time. But she passed her wisdom forward, so others could gain so much more." As she approached her 91st birthday, she didn't focus on what she had lost. She focused on what she could still give. Her story became her legacy. Not a warning filled with fear, but a gift wrapped in love. Slow down. Eat like your life is worth something. Because it is. Food is more than survival. Food is memory. It's the scent of fresh bread from the oven. It's the snap of beans in a summer garden. It's the laughter around a crowded table. Real food doesn't just nourish the body. It nourishes the soul. And when we trade real food for processed convenience, we're not just losing health. We're losing connection. We're losing rituals. We're losing part of what makes life rich and meaningful. The last lesson she wanted her great-grandchildren to know: it's not about being perfect. It's not about rules or guilt. It's about choosing life every time you fill your plate. Choosing real. Choosing vibrant. Choosing to honor the incredible machine that carries you through the world. Because every meal is a conversation with your future self. And your future self is listening. Your choice today, you have the chance she wished she had taken sooner. You can look at your plate and ask, is this food alive? Will this food help me thrive? Will I feel proud of this choice tomorrow? If not, it's never too late to start changing. One meal. One bite. One small decision at a time. Final words: if her story moved you, if it made you rethink what's on your table, if it reminded you that health isn't built on pills but on everyday choices, then give yourself the greatest gift: respect your meals. Respect your body. Respect your life. And if you found value in this story, please, speech balloon, share this message with someone you love. Thumbs up, hit that like button to spread the word. Bell, subscribe to Human Health Hub for more real stories that inspire healthier living. Your future self will thank you. And maybe, just maybe, you'll sit at your 90th birthday, strong and smiling, with no regrets. Thank you for watching.